right, what's up, fam? I'm T, coming all the way from Atlanta, Georgia in the U.S., and I am here today in Zanzibar. I've been saying Zanzibar. Today I learned it's Zanzibar. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Very correct.
And we're here today and learned a lot today. That this is the one of the last national forests in Zanzibar, and we learned the importance of it. And we just, right out of there, left seeing the mangroves, where I planted a mangrove seed, and in 200 years it's going to be big and tall and help the ecosystem. So I won't be back in 200 years, but maybe the grandkids or somebody will come back in 200 years and check it out. I took a picture of the spot so they'll know, where to find it.
Yeah.
So super excited today, had a great time. It rained a little bit, but it was like 5 minutes, cleared up, sun came out for us. We also saw over that way, when we first came in, we saw some monkeys and some monkeys that are indigenous just to this particular rainforest. So you can't find them anywhere else in the world. So all in all, great time today. Learned a lot, had a good time, good company, good tour guide. We had Mau as our tour guide, and yeah, it's good.
I think everyone is ready to hear about the mangrove ecosystem that we already mangrove. Huh? I think that some people are waiting to pick some mango fruits. These are mangrove, the trees which are growing into the seawater. So mangrove by definition is any tree species which is able to survive into the seawater. And we are about 3 kilometers to the sea there. The water comes and goes with the tide. In high tide, all the roots will be underwater, and low tide the water gets dry like now. And these trees, the mangrove tree, they need salt, salinity. Without any amount of salt, there's no life for this tree. They should end up dying if there's no salt in the water. So they need salt, of course. But there's one big challenge here, that the water itself is containing too much salt. which is like really big problem. The trees, they could end up dying because of taking too much salt from the water. Still, they don't die. They don't die because they know the way how they could balance the salinity. And this is what I want to explain. Yeah, the water here is having 100% of salt, but the mangrove, they may need only 50% of the salt. But they don't know any way to reduce the salinity before getting it inside the mangrove. So they absorb the water with 100% of salt, and they try to store the salt within the leaf. Also, all these mangrove leaf, they have the salt within it. And this is the reason why monkeys don't like eating mangrove leaf, because they're salty. Then the leaf, which is going to have too much salt, automatically is going to change into yellow. This is the yellow one, which is already given a burden of salt. There's extra salt within the yellow buds. So if the tree is going to stay with the yellow leaves all the time, the whole tree is going to die because the life system is going to be distorted. So in order to balance the salinity, mangrove, they normally shed the yellow leaves. So once they drop the yellow leaf, it means that they get rid of the X amount of salt, and the salt which is going to remain into the tree will be 50%. So this thing is very important. This process is very important, not only to the mangrove, but even to the other creatures living into the marine. Fish are so happy of this process. Crabs, corals, plankton, everything living in the water, underwater, is happy from what is done with the mangrove, because all of them, they don't need too much salt from the food, from the water. I think we don't need too much salt.
Agreed.
Yeah? So we should ask mangrove to reduce our so this is about the life of this mangrove. Mangrove, they can grow for 300 years all the time, but if we took any tree coming to plant them here from the land, the tree could die the day we're planting. So we do not plant any tree from the land, but it's only these kind of trees, the one which we protect, which can be able to survive, to reduce the extra salt they can grow in here. Well, mangrove trees, they grow into the tropical and subtropical areas. So you have mangrove in USA, in Florida, Everglades, but the mangrove in there are the ones which are living into the brackish water. The water is mixed between fresh and salt water. So mangrove, they can also survive to the brackish water area, but they never grow to the place on where the water is pure, fresh, because the salt is not there to survive. Well, now about the importance of the mangrove. Mangrove trees have been so important, especially for the world we are living. We've been having a lot of disasters here that sometimes it's very, maybe there's like tsunami can happen, the storm from the sea, and sometimes soil erosion, flooding, and something like that. So mangrove, they protect all these things, and the way how they do is that how do they protect the soil? The land against flooding. The world now has already realized the seawater level rises. So mangrove trees themselves, they need water to absorb, to grow. So each mangrove, if it's going to take only 1 liter per day, there will be thousands of liters of water which is now running the life of the mangrove. So obviously the water level is going to get lower instead of coming too high. So we need mangrove because they are the one which could reduce the amount of water. And this is from the research that the life is impossible here on the island without mangrove. This is already seen in here. So we do cut, we protect mangrove, and no one is allowed to cut for these kind of trees. These trees also, they protect for the land against flooding, tsunami, soil erosion, because normally when the water, when the water comes inside, the water will be moving so fast, the big current in here for the water coming to the land. And to the reception area there is about 2-3 meters below the sea level. So it's likely for the water to go and flood in there. But that thing does not happen because mangrove, especially these kind of roots, they have so much to reduce the movement of water. So this is to say that the wider the mangrove, the slower the water toward the land. So the land is very safe, that the mangrove are the one to protect for this. So this kind of roots is very special kind of system, the one which could reduce the movement of water. And what is the most important is that this area is a base breeding place. The big fish, they follow the water in high tide, They come to lay eggs. Small fish are born in here, and it's about 75% of the fish living in the sea, they are born in the mangrove. So this is like really important area for breeding. Why they should do that is because the water here is not moving so fast. There are no big waves in here, and the salinity is already balanced. So the eggs cannot be distorted from the kind of salinity and other things. So these trees are, the mangrove trees are very important, and now they are protected. Of course, historically, mangrove trees were cut, and people were cutting mangrove trees because they are very strong hardwood, the ones which could be used for building houses. In Stone Town, for example, almost all historical buildings, their roofs were made from mangrove poles. It's about 200 years now since those trees, like House of Wonders, Sultan Palace, Slave Market, all of them, they were built about two centuries ago, but no any mangrove which ever been eaten by some kind of insect like termite. Because these trees, they have very strong wood, and they have the salinity, which tend to be like immunity. So this is the reason why now we don't cut the mangrove, because cutting of these trees can be the reason why the land is going to be flooded. Now, why the roots of the mangrove above the soil? This is another different ecosystem, that the mangrove trees leaves do not have stomata. Remember, the trees on the land there, they can breathe from the leaves because they have stomata, so they can take carbon dioxide, they can take oxygen from the leaves. But the mangrove trees, they don't have, the leaves don't have stomata, so they cannot breathe from the leaves, but they use the roots. Those kind of roots, we call them air roots. From the roots, there's some kind of cell, we call them lenticel. The lenticel can be opened to allow the air, food, and water to get into the mangrove. And the root, the soil here is made up of organic matters, rotten materials, leaves, branches, and other kind of things. So it's like muddy, and there's a little or no oxygen under the mud. So the mangrove tree, the roots should be exposed in here. It's because here they can take oxygen here. And mangrove, they can take oxygen during at night, and during the daytime, mangrove tree, they use carbon dioxide. And for the purpose of coming to take oxygen, the roots of the mangrove are above the soil, not because of soil erosion or whatever. So shortly, this is about the mangrove trees, the trees which are they had to be planted almost everywhere, worldwide. But just because they can grow only to the tropical and subtropical areas, now there have been so many projects to plant the mangrove trees, because it's like the same world, the same planet. So once we plant these trees in here, it's like we help the whole, universe. I want to do one thing. I'm sure that I cannot collect all the roots for you, the seed, but I'm going to take some few seeds, the one which you could plant these trees, and you could have already, saved the world, right? The tree is going to grow for 300 years. On behalf of everyone, please get ready to plant your own tree, right? So keep enjoying. I'm going to take the seed in here. I'll bring you. Then you can just choose. What's
wrong? The way it was taught to us. So, yeah. It was like.
Nimefutia nini? Bahati mbaya. Marashi yale. Hivi lakini kwa hii sio tani nini? Abadilisha t-shirt lakini. Nini?
And then they already told you, unless you're going to find them in the soap water, you're going to put some salt in the water.
I was going to say, no, the seed.
I got this.
So you're going to get some fresh oranges.
I'm on my land.
Yeah, but you gonna get fresh oranges that you can
I know this motherfucker is GMO.
Got
You know
it.
what I'm saying? Non-GMO.
Got
That
it.
shit there is GMO. Oh yeah.
Is it posing out there? Okay. Right here, like, look up a little bit. Yes. Yes. Now, a little bit to the chin to the side. A little bit chin to the side. Got it.
Okay, I'm hungry.
Okay, now, everyone look. This is the mangrove seed pod, the one which could, they are born on the tree. Something like this is that one there on the tree. You see something hanging? That one? So this is a mangrove seed pod. They are born on the tree. They drop and stick to the mud, and then they germinate. We have a new tree, right? So I'm gonna give you some of you to plant these trees on. Yeah. Take it. Take anyone. All of them. They're gonna be a new tree later. Guys, you should come here in 200 years later, right? Because the mangroves, they grow for 300 years. So you'll be back in 200 years. Yeah. You know what? Okay. This one, the last one. Now, this is I'm going to show you. Yeah, maybe I'll give you. Tumeamua dada. Yuko wapi? Samani, tunaenda hivi tunarudi.
Everybody is
Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to show you a good place to plant for this mangrove, right? So let us. Huh?
All right, guys. Okay. I mean, if you still want to take pictures, you can while they're planting the tree.
Hook me up with your
Hook
camera.
me up with your camera.
Down there and pose.
You got a good camera. You do. I want the video too of them talking about the mangrove.
Mimi unipige hiyo picha.
And then just give me like.
Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and
No.
Sempre calor, let's go.
With the car.
Yours.
Okay? Go back. Slowly.
Seriously?
The tablet is focused on that. I think I got it.
Where the visa at?
Melinda, tap the screen to focus. Tap the screen to focus. Oh. Oops. I was trying to focus. I was trying to press it to focus. Yeah, it's okay.
Look, they're branching my way in there.
I'm sorry. This feels weird. I did Wait, I didn't get that one.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Got that one.
Tuesday.
Look down the ground. What you drop? I think I did.
Hey,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
Good.
You remember me?